topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to Powerful Business Strategies, where you will find out that everything you have ever learned about growing your business is wrong. Finally, a show where you'll learn the right way to grow your business by learning business and financial strategies that your competition isn't doing. And now, here is your host, President of Next Step CFO, Michael Barbarita. And joining Michael for today's show as an executive moderator is Chuki Obiyo.
Yes, this is Chuki, and I believe that gratitude is undefeated and growth is about the next step. It is an honor for me to moderate today's discussion with my good friend, Michael. Michael, how are you?
Good. How are you, Chuki?
Doing well.
And as Chuki said, my name is Michael Barbarita, president of Next Step CFO. And Next Step CFO is a fractional CFO and strategic implementation firm. Business owners hire us to double and triple their profit using business and financial strategies that their competition isn't doing. And our vision is to ensure that overwhelmed business owners achieve consistent profits that lead to the time freedom to build a legacy and the life they desire. And our mission is dedicated to guiding small business owners to leveraging their time, exploding their profits, and building that meaningful legacy. This show, Powerful Business Strategies, in our book of the same name, is a step toward accomplishing that vision and mission. So with that, I'd like to hand it back to my co-author and moderator for the show, Chuki Obiyo.
Absolutely. So, Michael, look, I am particularly energized by today's episode. I actually have my calculator out, just so you know, by the way. So the title of today's episode is Financial Intelligence for Non-Financial Business Owners, Making Numbers Your Secret Weapon. So really enthused. Quick disclaimer, folks. Look, Michael and I are both affiliated with a number of different organizations, and I currently serve as the managing director of business development for Better Price, a global business-focused law firm. In addition to that, it's truly an honor to collaborate with Michael to moderate business roundtables, really coast to coast, to document insights from those roundtables as part of our book, Powerful Business Strategies. But please note that the views expressed on this show are personal views based on those successful experiences. And my mission as a fearless moderator is to ask the right questions to help you, the listener, learn the best strategies that the competition isn't doing. Michael?
Thank you. Thank you, Chuki. So business owners, I've seen a pattern. It might sound familiar. You started your business because you're passionate about what you do. Maybe it's creating beautiful designs or building quality homes or delivering exceptional service or even developing innovative products. You didn't start your business because you love staring at spreadsheets or analyzing financial statements. Yet here's what I know to be true. The most successful business owners aren't necessarily financial experts. They're probably not. But they've mastered what I call financial intelligence, the ability to understand and use their numbers to make better decisions. And today I want to show you that financial mastery isn't about becoming an accountant. It's about taking numbers from something you avoid into a secret weapon that guides your business towards greater profits, greater stability, and growth. The gap between where you are and where you want to be financially isn't about working harder. It's about understanding the story that your financial numbers are telling you. So let's decode that story together and unleash the financial power that's hidden in your business right now. So let me start with a confession. I met a successful CEO of a multi-million-dollar company who actually break into a cold sweat when presented with a balance sheet. I've worked with brilliant entrepreneurs who can innovate game-changing products, but struggle to explain the difference between cash flow and profit. Well, if you've ever been embarrassed or overwhelmed by financial matters in your business, I want you to know two things. First, you're clearly not alone. Second, this isn't about some inherent deficiency. It's just about a skills upgrade, a skills gap that can be bridged more easily than you think. And I believe that there are three myths that keep business owners from developing that financial intelligence. And I want to dispel those three myths right away, right up front. The first myth is that you need to be good with numbers to understand business finances. Well, that's simply not the case. Financial intelligence isn't about complex calculations. It's about understanding relationships between numbers and what they tell you about your business. And if you can understand that spending more than you earn creates problems, then you already have the foundational thinking required for financial intelligence. And the second myth is that financial management is primarily about cutting costs. Too many business owners view financial oversight as the equivalent of a strict diet, all restriction, no enjoyment. And in reality, strong financial intelligence often reveals opportunities for strategic investment and growth that wouldn't be apparent otherwise. And the third and most damaging myth is that you can delegate financial understanding entirely to others, like your bookkeeper, your accountant, or even your CFO. While these professionals are invaluable, outsourcing your financial knowledge 100% creates vulnerability. I've seen too many business owners blindsided by cash crunches or missed opportunities because they relied entirely on others for financial insight. I'm just looking for a basis of understanding here. So when I learned to read these signals myself, I discovered problems and opportunities months before they would have become obvious otherwise. And this experience improved how I approach business. I realized that financial intelligence isn't a specialized skill for accountants, although I am one. It's a fundamental leadership capacity that every business owner needs to develop, regardless of their background or natural inclinations. So today, I'm going to share the approach I've developed working with hundreds of businesses across dozens of industries, and I call it the Financial Intelligence Framework. And it will help you improve your relationship with your business numbers from one of confusion or avoidance to clarity and confidence. And this framework has three components. Number one is understanding the vital 5 metrics that tell you the most of what you need to know. Second, mastering the financial narrative, the story your numbers are telling you about your business. Third, developing financial foresight. This is using financial intelligence to anticipate and prepare for the future. So throughout today's show, we'll explore each component and provide practical steps to implement them in your business, regardless of your current level of financial comfort. One lesson I learned is that you need to monitor both profit and cash flow simultaneously. So profit tells you whether your business model is viable in the long term, while cash flow tells you whether you'll survive in the short term. Both are essential, but many business owners focus exclusively on profit until a cash crisis forces them to learn this distinction the hard way. Understanding this relationship between profit and cash is one of the cornerstones of financial intelligence. And it's not about complex accounting rules, but rather about developing a practical understanding of how money actually moves through your business. So let's dive deeper into the first component of the financial intelligence framework, and that's understanding the vital 5 metrics. In my experience working with hundreds of business owners, I found that most financial overwhelm comes from trying to track too many numbers without understanding which ones truly matter for decision making. And the truth is, while a comprehensive financial analysis might involve dozens of metrics, most business owners can dramatically improve their financial outcomes by focusing on just five critical numbers. I call these the vital 5. And these are the financial equivalent of vital signs in healthcare. Just as a doctor checks your pulse, your blood pressure, and temperature to quickly assess your overall health, these 5 metrics give you a rapid assessment of your business's financial condition. Now, the first vital sign is sales or revenue. This seems obvious, but I'm always surprised by how many business owners don't know their exact sales figures on a daily, weekly, or even monthly basis. Revenue isn't just a vanity metric. It's the fundamental input that drives all the other financial outcomes. So you should know not only your total revenue, but also how it's trending, up, down, sideways, how it's distributed across products or services as well, and how it compares to your projections, if you have them, which you should. A landscaping company, for example, implemented a simple daily sales tracking system and discovered that 80% of their revenue came from just 2 services, while they were spending most of their marketing budget promoting lower performing offerings. This basic revenue insight led to a 35% increase in profit within 3 months. So the second vital sign is gross profit dollars. This is the money remaining after subtracting the direct costs of delivering your products or services. And direct costs include things like materials, direct labor, subcontracted labor, and any other expenses, freight, that increase directly with sales volume. And gross profit matters because it tells you how much money you have available to cover your fixed costs and generate a net profit. See, many businesses focus on sales growth without realizing their gross profit that's not sufficient to sustain their operations. You've got to understand the gross profit component. So a retail store owner was excited about growing sales until she realized or analyzed her gross profit and discovered that her newest, fastest growing product line actually had the lowest gross profit. So by reallocating her focus to higher margin products, she increased her overall gross profit by 22%, even though total sales remained relatively stable. That's about profit. That's about understanding your profit versus just the top line. The third vital sign is gross profit percentage. This is really, really important. This is your gross profit divided by your revenue, expressed as a percentage. So while gross profit dollars help you tell you the absolute amount available to cover your fixed costs, gross profit percent tells you how efficiently you're generating that profit. Industry benchmarks for gross profit, by the way, they vary. They really do. They vary. They're all over the place. You know, from as low as 10 to 15% in some retail categories to 70 to 80% in certain professional services. But what matters most is not comparing yourself to an abstract standard, but tracking your own trends and understanding what drives changes in your gross profit margin. So a restaurant owner notices gross profit percentage declining despite stable food costs. Investigation revealed that staff was over proportioning certain high cost ingredients. So a simple portion control system restored his margins without changing menu prices or quality. And the fourth vital sign is net profit. This is what remains after all expenses, both direct and overhead, are subtracted from revenue. So it's essentially your bottom line, and it represents the return of all your effort and investment. Net profit matters not just for current income, but for business sustainability and growth, because without adequate net profit, you can't weather the downturns or invest in opportunities or build a business value for eventual exit or succession. So a manufacturing company who had focused exclusively on revenue growth was shocked to discover that his net profit had been declining for 3 consecutive years despite sales increases. So by analyzing which products and which customers were most profitable, he restructured his offering to emphasize higher margin business, doubling his net profit within 18 months. And the fifth vital sign is cash position. Simply how much money you have available right now includes cash in all of your bank accounts. While the other metrics tell you about business performance, cash position tells you about business survival capacity. You see, many profitable businesses fail because they run out of cash. Your cash position isn't just about current balances, but about the relationship between cash inflows and outflows over time. This is why cash flow forecasting is so critical, and we've had a couple of shows on that, because it helps you anticipate and prepare for periods when outflows might exceed inflows. And a service business owner maintained what she thought was a healthy cash reserve of 2 months operating expenses, but by implementing a proper cash flow forecast, she realized that seasonal variations in client payment patterns created a 3-month gap between service delivery and payment collection. She adjusted her cash reserves accordingly, avoiding what would have been a severe crunch during her growth phase. Now, might be wondering, how do I track these vital five? How do I track these vital five metrics effectively? And the key is creating a dashboard that gives you visibility without overwhelming you with details. You know, for most businesses, I usually recommend a single-page dashboard that shows each metric in 3 time frames. Current period, that's this week or month. The trend comparing to previous periods, and the target comparing to your goals. And this provides context that makes the numbers more meaningful for decision making. And the dashboard should be updated at least weekly, daily for businesses with high transaction volumes or tight cash positions. The process of reviewing these numbers regularly builds your financial intelligence more than any course or book could. So because and the reason is you're actually seeing how real business decisions affect real financial outcomes. So a contractor who had previously avoided financial reviews created a simple dashboard in Excel that his bookkeeper updated weekly. And within 3 months, he not only understood his numbers, but he had developed intuitive financial judgment that helped him make better pricing decisions, better staffing decisions, and better overall investment decisions. The power of the Vital Five is that it makes financial management accessible and understandable. You don't need an accounting degree to understand these metrics, but mastering them gives you the insight to make decisions that dramatically improve your business outcome.
Michael, look, very inspired by the insights so far. I've got to ask a question though. So these Vital Five metrics, I mean, make a lot of sense, right? But I'm a bit curious though, like how frequently should business owners be reviewing each of these metrics? And then does that vary based on industry or business size?
Well, that's excellent. That's an excellent question, Chuki, because the right frequency of financial review can make the difference between proactive management and just reactive in handling, some catastrophe. So while there's no one size fits all answer, I found that different metrics require different review frequencies based on how quickly they change and how immediately actionable they are. And at the very top of the pyramid is cash position, which should be reviewed daily by virtually every business owner, regardless of size or industry. Cash changes daily through sales, payments, expenses, and problems can develop. I used to check my cash position and still do for my business today at the beginning of the day and the end of the day, twice. Next is sales or revenue, which most businesses should monitor daily or at a minimum weekly. Sales trends provide immediate feedback on marketing efforts, seasonal shifts, competitive changes, economic conditions. A retail company who implemented daily sales tracking immediately noticed a 30% drop on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, leading to targeted promotions that balanced weekly revenue. Gross profit metrics typically need weekly review for businesses with variable costs or pricing, and at a minimum monthly review for those with more stable cost structures. I still am in favor of weekly for gross profit. A restaurant that tracked food costs weekly discovered significant variation based on which staff members were preparing certain dishes, allowing for immediate training interventions. And then net profit generally requires a monthly analysis for most businesses, though service businesses with high fixed costs can sometimes extend this to quarterly if other metrics remain stable, but I would advise against that. It needs to be at least monthly. And the key is ensuring that you're not waiting until year end to discover profitability issues. I can't tell you how many companies do that. So start with a frequency that feels manageable for your comfort level, then gradually increase it as your financial intelligence develops. The goal is building a sustainable habit, not creating another obligation that gets abandoned when you're busy.
Yeah, Michael, as you know, we've got a dynamic group of listeners. In fact, we've got a question from one listener here. Many business owners, Michael, I mean, they feel overwhelmed by the prospect of having to learn financial management, right? What's your advice for someone who's intimidated? And that's a really important mindset, intimidated by numbers, but they know that they've got to develop the skill.
Yeah, that is really an important question, Chuki. I commend the listener for asking that. Because the emotional barrier to financial management is often more significant than the intellectual one. Yeah. My first piece of advice is to start with curiosity rather than mastery. You know, many business owners avoid financial management because they believe they need to understand everything at once. Instead, approach your financials with specific questions. Why did sales increase last month? Or which services have the highest gross margin? These focused inquiries make financial exploration less overwhelming and immediately relevant. Second, use visual learning to your advantage. Most business owners are visually oriented, which is why traditional financial statements can be so intimidating. They're text and numbers without any visual context. So convert your vital 5 metrics into simple graphs or charts that show trends over time. Anytime I can show a financial dashboard to a client with graphs, it's so much better for them to understand and easier for them to understand. Third, connect financial metrics to operational realities you already understand. For example, if your gross margin percent is 40%, that means for every $100 in sales, you have $40 to cover overhead and profit. Thinking in these concrete terms makes financial concepts more tangible rather than abstract. And then fourth, give yourself permission to learn incrementally. Financial intelligence, it's just not binary. It's not that you either understand finance or you don't. It's a spectrum. And every step along the spectrum brings value. A landscape contractor started by simply tracking daily revenue for a month. That's it. That single habit created enough insight and confidence for him to gradually expand his financial monitoring to gross profit or gross profit percent. Finally, remember that financial intelligence is about decision making, not accounting. Your goal isn't to become a CPA, a bookkeeper, or CFO. It's to extract meaningful insights that help you make better business decisions. Keep your focus on how financial understanding improves outcomes rather than on mastering accounting terminology or procedures. The business owners who most successfully develop financial intelligence are those who overcome the initial emotional barrier and discover that with the right approach, financial management isn't just accessible, it becomes generally interesting because it tells the story of your business in a new and powerful way. So before I continue this discussion, we're going to take a 90-second break.
Hey there, business owners. Let me ask you something. Are you tired of blending in with your competitors? Frustrated with slow growth and slim margins? Well, I've got news for you. Everything you've ever learned about growing your business is wrong. But don't worry. I'm here to let you in on a secret weapon, your position of market dominance. It's what sets you apart, makes you irreplaceable, and has customers lining up at your door. My name is Michael Barbarita from Next Step CFO. I know what you're thinking. Sounds great, Michael, but how do I find my position of market dominance? Well, that's exactly why we've created our game-changing implementation program called Next Step to Market Dominance. In just 90 days, we'll guide you step by step to a position of market dominance by uncovering your unique strengths that competitors can't touch, by crafting a message that resonates deeply with your ideal customer, by building a strategy that turns you into the go-to expert in your field. Now, this isn't theory. These are battle-tested strategies that have helped businesses like yours double, triple, and quadruple their revenue. Don't let another quarter go by struggling to stand out. It's time to dominate your market, period. Go to nextstepcfo.net/contact, fill out the form, and in the message section, put the word dominate. Or call us at 781-326-3822. That's nextstepcfo.net/contact, or call us at 781-326-3822.
Welcome back. And remember, any replay that you need to catch, you could go to powerfulbusinessstrategies.com. So now let's explore the second component of the financial intelligence framework, and that's mastering the financial narrative. You know, financial numbers aren't just figures on a page. They tell a story about your business. Learning to read and interpret this story is what transforms raw data into actionable intelligence. Unfortunately, most business owners see financial reports as historical records than as a powerful communication tool that reveals both problems and opportunities. See, the financial narrative has three key elements: patterns, relationships, and anomalies. When you learn to recognize these elements, your financial reports become less like boring spreadsheets and more like a fascinating detective story. So let's start with patterns. So financial patterns emerge over time as you track metrics consistently. These patterns might be seasonal fluctuations. They might be growth trends or cyclical behaviors tied to your industry or your business model or even the economy. Recognizing these patterns allows you to distinguish between normal variations and actual problems or opportunities. For example, a retail store analyzed 3 years of sales data and discovered a clear pattern of revenue spikes 2 weeks before major holidays, followed by significant drops the week after. And this insight led them to adjust inventory purchases and staffing levels to align with these predictable fluctuations, reducing both stockouts and overstaffing. The second element of the financial narrative is relationships, the connection between different metrics that reveal deeper insights. These relationships help you understand cause and effect in your business finances. One critical relationship is the relationship between sales growth and cash position. Many business owners are surprised to discover that rapid sales growth often creates cash flow problems rather than solving them. This happens because you typically pay for the cost of fulfillment, whether it's inventory, labor, materials, before receiving payment from customers, creating a cash gap that widens as sales increases. Another important relationship exists between pricing, volume, and profit. Many businesses fall into the trap of assuming that lower prices will increase volume enough to improve overall profit. Financial analysis often reveals that assumption is not true, very false. A service business, for example, that I advised was considering a 10% price reduction to stimulate demand. When we analyzed the relationship between pricing and volume, we discovered they would need a 40% increase in volume just to maintain that same profit level, an unlikely scenario in their market. This analysis prevented a pricing decision that could have dramatically damaged their bottom line. The third element of the financial narrative is anomalies, unexpected variations that just don't fit established patterns or relationships. These anomalies often reveal either problems that need attention or opportunities for improvement. So a professional services firm spotted an anomaly where certain client projects consistently delivered gross profit margins 15% higher than their overall average. And by analyzing these high performance outliers, they identified specific project statistics that could be prioritized in their sales process, significantly improving their overall profitability. The power of the financial narrative comes from bringing these elements together to create a comprehensive understanding of your business's financial dynamics. This narrative doesn't just explain what happened in the past, it provides guidance for the future.
Michael, I want to pick up on that, this idea of guidance for the future, right? So, question from a listener. Many business owners struggle with translating financial insights into concrete action plans for the future. Can you share some strategies for moving from financial observation to effective execution? Right? That actually rhymes, by the way, Michael. That rhymes.
Yeah, I noticed that. You get an A for prose today.
I love it.
So this listener did identify one of the most common stumbling blocks in financial management. The gap between insight and action often prevents business owners from realizing the full value of their financial intelligence. So I recommend a framework that I call financial to operational translation. A little confusing name, but that's what I call it. A structured approach for converting financial observations into specific actionable steps. And this framework has 4 components. First, metric to driver mapping. For each financial metric showing opportunity or concern, identify the specific operational driver that influences it. For example, declining gross margins might be driven by pricing erosion, cost increases, or product mix shifts or production inefficiencies. For example, a construction company discovered their declining margins weren't from rising material costs as they had assumed, but from a subtle shift towards smaller projects, which disproportionately had a higher overhead allocation. Second, driver prioritization. Once you've identified potential drivers, analyze which ones offer the greatest leverage for improvement. So consider both impact potential and implementation difficulty. A manufacturing client prioritized production scheduling improvements over material sourcing changes because analysis showed a 5% margin improvement opportunity with relatively simple operational adjustments. You'd be surprised what you could find operationally to increase margins. Third, actionable experimentation. Develop specific measurable tests to address priority drivers. Start with limited scope experience. This is before full implementation. So a professional services firm testing a new price structure applied it to just one service line for 90 days, measuring both client response and profitability impact before expanding. Something we always mention, the importance of testing things.
Yeah.
And that professional services firm certainly did. Fourth, systematic follow through. So create accountability mechanisms for implementation and regular assessment of results. Connect financial outcomes directly to operational changes to reinforce the cause and effect relationship. Here's an example. A retail business that implemented inventory reduction initiatives created a weekly dashboard showing both inventory levels and the resulting impact on cash position and carrying costs. And what makes this framework powerful is that it creates a continuous loop between financial insights and operational execution, rather than treating financial review as separate from business operations. It integrates them into a cohesive management system. So remember, financial metrics are simply scorecards that tell you whether your operational decisions are creating the results you want. Effective financial management isn't about manipulating numbers. It's about identifying which operational levers will move those numbers in the right direction, then systematically pulling those levers. So before I continue this discussion, we're going to have a 90-second break.
Hey there, business owners. Let me ask you something. Are you tired of blending in with your competitors? Frustrated with slow growth and slim margins? Well, I've got news for you. Everything you've ever learned about growing your business is wrong. But don't worry. I'm here to let you in on a secret weapon, your position of market dominance. It's what sets you apart, makes you irreplaceable, and has customers lining up at your door. My name is Michael Barbarita from Next Step CFO. I know what you're thinking. Sounds great, Michael, but how do I find my position of market dominance? Well, that's exactly why we've created our game-changing implementation program called Next Step to Market Dominance. In just 90 days, we'll guide you step by step to a position of market dominance by uncovering your unique strengths that competitors can't touch, by crafting a message that resonates deeply with your ideal customer, by building a strategy that turns you into the go-to expert in your field. Now, this isn't theory. These are battle-tested strategies that have helped businesses like yours double, triple, and quadruple their revenue. Don't let another quarter go by struggling to stand out. It's time to dominate your market, period. Go to nextstepcfo.net/contact, fill out the form, and in the message section, put the word dominate. Or call us at 781-326-3822. That's nextstepcfo.net/contact, or call us at 781-326-3822.
Welcome back. And remember, once again, if you miss any part of this podcast, you could go to powerfulbusinessstrategies.com. We have the replay of every show on that site. So now let's explore the third component of the financial intelligence framework, and that's developing financial foresight. While understanding current metrics and narratives is essential, truly sophisticated financial intelligence extends into the future. Financial foresight is the ability to anticipate financial outcomes before they happen, allowing you to make proactive decisions rather than reactive adjustments. And the cornerstone of financial foresight is effective forecasting and scenario planning. Many business owners avoid forecasting because they had negative experiences with projections that proved wildly inaccurate. But the greatest value of forecasting isn't perfect prediction. It's better preparation. Think of financial forecasting like weather forecasting. A meteorologist can't tell you with certainty whether it will rain exactly 27 days from now, but they can identify patterns and trends that help you prepare appropriately. Similarly, financial forecasts help you identify likely outcomes and potential risks so that you can position your business accordingly. Effective financial forecasting has three key elements: rolling timelines, multiple scenarios, that's multiple what-if scenarios, by the way, and regular updates. First, rolling timelines provide both immediate clarity and long-term perspective. I recommend a dual forecasting approach. That's a 13-week forecast for immediate management, and then the higher level 12 to 24-month forecast for strategic planning. The 13-week forecast shows exactly when cash flow will flow in and out on a weekly basis, while the annual forecast helps identify the seasonal patterns and longer-term trends. Manufacturing company implemented this dual approach and discovered that while their overall annual projection looked healthy, they faced a significant cash shortfall in months 7 through 9 due to inventory buildup for their very busy season. This advanced knowledge allowed them to arrange financing before the crunch, avoiding what would have been a serious cash crisis. Second, multiple scenarios prevent false confidence that comes from single point forecasts. At minimum, I recommend creating 3 scenarios: a base case or a baseline case, what you generally expect to happen, a stress case, what happens if things go wrong, and an opportunity case, what happens if things go better than expected. A retail company created 3 scenarios before a major expansion. The baseline case showed healthy but manageable growth. The stress case revealed that if sales grew 15% slower than expected, they would deplete their cash reserves within 6 months. This insight led them to secure a larger line of credit as insurance against this downside scenario, which proved invaluable when a construction delay temporarily reduced foot traffic. Third, regular updates transform forecasting from a static prediction to a dynamic learning tool. The most effective approach is what I call rolling forecasting, where you update your projections monthly, incorporating actual results and adjusting future expectations based on new information. We always do rolling business and cash flow forecasts. And as you gain experience with forecasting, you'll develop what I call financial intuition, the ability to sense when projections are realistic or they need adjustment. This intuition isn't mythical or mystical. It's pattern recognition built through consistent financial management. So a service business owner who initially resisted forecasting became one of its strongest advocates after 6 months of rolling forecasts. She discovered that the process helped her identify subtle shifts in client behavior and market conditions long before they would have been obvious in historical reporting. And beyond forecasting, financial foresight also includes strategic financial planning, which is aligning financial resources with business objectives. This is where you move from tracking and projecting finances to actually shaping them. Strategic financial planning begins with defining clear financial objectives that support your broader business goals. And these might include revenue targets, profitability improvements, cash reserve accumulation, or debt reduction. Once objectives are established, you develop specific financial strategies to achieve them. These strategies connect operational decisions to financial outcomes, creating a roadmap for business growth and improvement. A landscape company that set an objective to increase their net profit margin from 8% to 15% within 18 months, and their financial strategy included 3 components: increasing prices on maintenance contracts by 7%, implementing fuel efficiency measures to reduce costs, and consolidating vendors to improve purchasing power. Each component had specific targets and implementation timelines. And the most important aspect of strategic financial planning is that it changes vague business aspirations into concrete financial frameworks. So instead of saying we want to grow, you specify we will increase revenue by 20% while maintaining a 40% gross margin and 12% net margin, requiring $50,000 in additional working capital. And this specificity creates clarity that drives better decisions throughout your organization. When everyone understands the financial parameters, they can make aligned choices without constant oversight. Another essential element of financial foresight is capital allocation, determining where to invest your financial resources for maximum return. This includes everything from day-to-day spending decisions to major investments in equipment, technology, or acquisitions. An effective capital allocation requires understanding the financial return on various investment options. This doesn't need complex financial modeling. It can be as simple as asking 3 questions about any significant expenditure. And those 3 questions are: number 1, what specific financial return do we expect from this investment? 2, when do we expect to realize this return? And 3, what risk might prevent us from achieving this return? You know, a manufacturing business was considering 2 potential investments: upgrading production equipment or expanding their sales team, one of those 2. By analyzing the expected financial returns, they discovered that while both were positive, the sales expansion would generate returns within 3 to 4 months, while the equipment upgrade would take 18 months to break even. And this insight led them to prioritize the sales expansion investment, using the resulting revenue increase to fund the second choice, the equipment upgrade, from cash flow rather than having to refinance or finance that equipment.
Yeah, it's really interesting, Michael. And by the way, you're getting some compliments. Folks are saying it's nice to listen to a CFO who's very strategic and practical. So hats off on that. Question from a listener, Michael. Look, forecasting sounds powerful, but potentially complex. Let's be honest. How can business owners start to develop forecasting capabilities without getting overwhelmed by the process?
Yeah. Well, forecasting can indeed seem intimidating, but I found that starting with a simplified approach makes it both manageable and immediately valuable. I recommend beginning with what I call incremental forecasting. This is a step-by-step process that builds forecasting muscle gradually, rather than trying to create comprehensive projections immediately. Once again, financial understanding is a step-by-step process. You start with a basic 4-week cash flow forecast. This short time frame reduces complexity while still providing insight. And the forecast should include beginning cash balance, expected customer payments based on outstanding invoices, regular predictable expenses like rent, payroll, loan payments, variable expenses already committed, upcoming inventory purchases or planned marketing. A service business owner who was intimidated by forecasting started with just this basic 4-week structure. And then within the first month, he identified 2 weeks where expenses would exceed available cash, a problem he was able to address by adjusting payment timing rather than scrambling the last minute. And then once comfortable with the 4-week forecast, extend to the 13-week horizon, gradually adding more detail as his confidence increases. So the key is starting with the most certain elements, like known receivables and fixed expenses, before incorporating more variable factors. For the annual forecast, you can begin with a simple month-by-month projection of your vital 5 metrics. And don't worry about getting every line item perfect. Focus on the major revenue streams and the major expense categories that drive your business. A retail owner created her first annual forecast with just 4 revenue categories and 6 expense categories, providing sufficient insight for strategic planning without overwhelming detail. And the most important element for beginners is consistent review and refinement. Schedule a weekly forecast update where you compare actual results to projections and identify what you got wrong, what you got right or wrong. Chuki, do we have compliments today?
We do, absolutely. Yeah, we do.
Go right ahead.
Yeah, we'll take just a minute or two on that. So very straightforward. Michael, look, for today's business compliment segment, we're continuing our series of highlighting business owners and the great clients that they serve. So really quick one here. Compliments to Floyd Black, who provided a business review to Kathleen Miles of MBA Taxes. Michael, check out what Floyd wrote about Kathleen. Kathleen's bio supports her highly recommended services, and she is open-minded. Whenever I use that term, open-minded, I am reminded of an old saying: the most expensive habit is when you have a closed mind. How about that for a review, Michael?
Excellent.
Great. Back to you.
I love it.
Yeah, Kathleen provides bookkeeping, accounting services. You can check her out on her website, mbataxes.com. Back to you, Michael.
Thank you, Chuki. So as we wrap up today's episode on financial intelligence for non-financial business owners, let me summarize the key insights that we've covered. We introduced the financial intelligence framework with its 3 core components. First, understanding the vital 5 metrics that provide a comprehensive review of your business's financial health. That's sales, gross profit dollars, gross profit percent, net profit, and your current cash position. And we just also discussed creating a simple dashboard for these metrics that provides the foundation for more clarity, financial clarity, without overwhelming. And then second, mastering the financial narrative. That's learning to read the story your numbers are telling you through patterns, relationships, and anomalies. We explored how financial storytelling sessions transform raw data into meaningful insights that just drive action and connecting financial incomes to operational decisions. And third, developing financial foresight through forecasting, strategic planning, capital allocation, and contingency planning. We discussed how to look forward financially positions. We discussed how looking forward financially positions your business for both stability and growth, allowing you to shape circumstances rather than merely respond to them. And throughout our discussion, we've emphasized that financial intelligence isn't about becoming an accountant or some type of financial expert. It's about developing practical financial skills that improve your decision-making and business outcomes. Remember, Your numbers tell a story. Learning to read that story might be the most valuable skill you'll ever develop as a business owner. To get a copy of the book Powerful Business Strategies, simply go to our website, www.nextstepcfo.net. It's totally complimentary. And until next Monday at noon Eastern Time, for Chuki Obiyo, my name is Michael Barbarita, and remember, don't keep doing what your competition is doing.
You have been listening to Powerful Business Strategies, finding out that everything you ever learned about growing your business is wrong. Tune in next week and every week at noon Eastern Time on W4CY Radio with your host, Michael Barbarita of Next Step CFO, and moderator Chuki Obiyo.